Stop making me laugh. Hello, my name is Ray Palmatier. I'm here today with some very good friends, with Tom Kentish, Pat Henders, and Josh Arizmendi. We are here at the home of one of our society icons, a true hero in the Illinois district. The reason we're here is to learn more about his story so that we might be able to share it with the rest of the society.
You know, back in the 50s, there were some great stage plays at Broadway. One of the most successful was a play called Most Happy Fella. And we like to sing the hit song from that play, titled Standing on the Corner, Watching All the Girls Go By. Hey. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls go by. Brother, you don't know a nicer occupation. Matter of fact, neither do I then. Standing on the corner, watching all the girls, watching all the girls, watching all the girls go by. I'm the cat, not the cream. Haven't got a girl, but I can dream.
Ray, thank you so much for letting us do this. I've been really looking forward to this day. How are you doing?
I never had a bad day in my life.
I believe that's probably true,
That's
Ray.
right. Any day the good Lord gives me is a good day.
Isn't that the truth? I understand you just had a birthday.
Yes, I'm 93 years old.
93 years old, wow.
And you'll
That's
notice I'm
amazing.
still handsome and humble.
You are handsome and all.
And I'm very proud of my humility, very proud.
So, 93 years old. You were born in 1928, right?
1928,
Oh,
right?
wow, that's awesome. And you're still singing?
Still singing.
You're up and about. You're still singing?
Yeah, somebody equated my voice now to a smoke alarm.
I don't believe that, Ray. As a child, you were a lifelong Chicagoan. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
And your dad, what did your dad do for?
He was
a
on the
living?
railroad.
He was a railroader.
Yeah.
Patrick told me that you come from a pretty large family. Is that right?
It was 4 boys and 2 girls.
Also 6 kids,
Right.
and your mom and your dad.
Right.
I heard another story that you going to school were a little tough to corral. That you weren't exactly the best student. Is that
When I was
correct?
in 3rd grade, I got kicked out of homeschool. My mother kicked me out.
I don't believe that, Ray.
Oh, yeah. Would I lie to you?
No, you wouldn't.
No.
You did get kicked out of a couple of schools.
Yes, I
though, right?
did. Yes, I did. Yes, I
Okay,
did.
you want to share that story?
Yeah. But incidentally, when I was in 4th grade, I came home from school one day and found out my parents had moved. No forwarding address. Yeah, I was really bad at school, and actually, I ended up quitting school at 17, joined the Navy, and I later on went back in my 20s and became an engineer.
So when you were 17, had you graduated from high school yet?
No.
You had
No.
not. So when you were 17, you just decided to. It was still World War II, correct?
Right.
So that would have been 1945, which was the year the war ended. So
Right.
you joined the military prior to World War II being over, correct?
Right.
So you're a World War II veteran.
Yes,
That's
I
awesome.
am.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yes.
So you joined the military. What branch of the military?
I was in the Navy.
And what was your rank?
I was just first class, a fireman first class,
Okay.
But I was I was in the South Pacific, and on a minesweeper for a while.
About 12 years ago, you went on the honor flight, correct?
Yeah, in
And
2012.
How was that experience?
It was sort of shocking, because I just didn't realize, what it was.
It's a big deal.
But we met at 4 in the morning, and we flew out to Washington, D.C., and we got there. They had the fire department with all the hoses going off, and we got off the plane, and there was a line of people for about a block long, shaking our hand and clapping as we went by, getting off. It's just so nice,
That's
and
amazing.
people treat us so well.
Nice. That's quite a tribute.
Yes, it is.
So Ray, when you got out of the military and you came back to the Chicagoland area, right?
Yeah.
And took up your career, right?
Right.
And what was that?
Well, I went back to Crane High School, and I finished my high school there.
Oh, okay.
And then in my job, I went to Triton and studied dye making, dye design, electronics. I was studying for an engineering degree. I worked for a major metal stamping press company, and I ended up in Detroit area supervising the installation of $20 million worth of metal stamping presses in Chrysler Corporation.
Wow.
We made them in Chicago, actually Cicero, and then they took them apart, and I had to supervise mechanically and electrically that they went all back together, got running again, and when they got all running perfectly, we turned them over to Chrysler.
Nice. And you were like 20 years old?
I don't know, but they 58, so about 30 years old.
About 30 years old.
But I was still handsome and humble then,
Well, yeah, I'm sure. So then you came back to Chicago, right?
Right.
And this is when you got involved in Barbershop, in our hobby, correct?
Yeah.
You know, how did you come to Barbershop?
There's a place called the Bell Pine Inn in Chicago, and every Saturday night they used to have barbershop quartets come and sing there. And my dad took me there the first time. He heard about it, and my dad tried to sing bass all the time. He used to sit by the radio, and on Sunday night, these gospel singers used to come on. And my dad used to boom, 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 boom. He used to sing bass, along with them. And he never knew I sang, which is a sad thing. He passed away quickly, but I heard that the Mid-States Four was there a lot. They lived right there in that neighborhood. And I met Bob Hager, and Bob Hager was pretty famous in our society, and he was directing a chorus in Oak Park, and he asked me to come on out and maybe sing with the chorus and learn barbershopping. I did go out there and sang barbershopping, and I want to say that anything I tell you about barbershopping, I'm not bragging about what I've done, but I'm telling you this because it's for new barbershoppers who don't think they have anything to offer our society, who listen to international champions say, man, I could never do that. Nobody had less talent than I did. I mean, I know music, I don't read music, and I watch these guys sing now, and they know all four parts, and they're chorus directors, and they're judges, and I don't do any of that. I believe I'm the least talented person that's ever won a gold medal. I really believe that.
Wow.
Back in Chicago area, I was born and raised in an Irish neighborhood. And we sort of learned all the Irish strokes as we grew up. And one of my favorite stories has to do with Pat Murphy's wife about to give birth to her 9th child. So he calls the doctor up and he said, "Doctor, you better come over. I think it's time." The doctor comes up over to Pat's little shack in Ireland. Doesn't even have electricity. So the doctor gives Pat the job of holding the lantern. Well, about 2 hours pass. The doctor says, "Well, Pat," he said, "you're the proud father of a very healthy baby boy." He says, "Thank you, doctor." He says, "Wait a minute. Bring the lantern back." He says, "You have another healthy girl." He says, "Well, thank you, doctor." He says, "Wait a minute. Bring the lantern back." He says, "You have another healthy boy." He says, "Doctor, you think the light could be attracting them?"
So Ray, you're saying you joined the Oak Park Chorus, and obviously that's great training ground.
Right.
How did you get in your first quartet?
Well, we after rehearsal, we sang with this guy and that guy and that guy and that group, and finally we had 4 guys that sounded pretty good together. So we called ourselves the Mystifiers, and we did a little bit of comedy also.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah, guess what? Yeah. And we seemed to go over pretty good. We did some shows, and we sang with them for about 3-4 years.
So did you go to contest with the Mystifiers?
Yes, we did, but we never made the top 10.
No.
We were back 12th, 13th, and but we had fun, and like I said, we never won a contest, never lost a show, but we sang for 3 or 4 years together.
Okay.
And then the Court Kings were a pretty popular quartet back then. They came in 6th place internationally, and Buzz had taken the place of one of their members and was singing with them for a while. And then Buzz left the Court Kings to go start the Renegades, the 4 Renegades. And he asked me if I fill in for him, so I filled in singing with the Court Kings for just about 1.5 years.
So you joined the Chord Kings when Buzz left to go sing with the Renegades?
That's correct.
Did you go to contests with the Chord Kings?
We did win once, yes, the contest, the regional preliminary, but never came in the top 10 again.
No, again, didn't do so well, huh? So after the Chord Kings, then you joined a quartet with Ben Williams, correct?
Yeah, the Court Kings broke up in about 1.5 years.
Okay.
And so Ben Williams and I got together with Tom Hine and a guy named Carl Fish, and we joined the Vigilantes quartet. And we sang pretty good, but then Buzz came along and talked Ben Williams into quitting our quartet and starting and take Joe Sullivan's place in the Four Renegades. And that's after that they came in second the next year, so with Ben Williams. So that was a good move for the Renegades.
For the Renegades,
Not
it worked out.
Not for us.
Not for you.
No.
It worked out well for them.
That's right.
So, Ray, of all the great quartet experiences that you had, the one that I find the most compelling is the Midnight Oilers. They were obviously before my time, but I've done a little homework and I've done a little reading, and I'm just astonished at the success that you had in a barbershop society when you were singing a quartet in a quartet that wasn't really a barbershop quartet. How did the Midnight Oilers come to be?
Well, after our Vigilantes broke up, Tom Hine and Phil Schwartz had joined the phone called me and asked me if I'd come and sing with them. They have a quartet with instruments, and they like me to, they want me to join the quartet, and they want me to sing lead. And I said, I can't sing lead. I never liked my voice lead. But he said, well, you sing some tenor tune, some lead, and some baritone, depending what song we sing. We switched around a lot. So I gave it a try, and I sang with them about, I had to be maybe a month and a half, and I learned maybe five songs. And Hugh Ingram heard us sing and asked if we'd come up to international. They had all the presidents of the Lake County barbershoppers are going to be at Harmony Hall, and they're going to be. And they asked if our quartet would come up and sing for the presidents of the Lake County. So the Land O'Lakes. So we came up there and we started singing 5 songs, and we tore the place apart. And they were standing in line to book us for their show. I think we booked 7 shows that when we were there,
Wow.
in Wisconsin. And the other guys said, we already have people booked for our show, but we want you for next year. And I couldn't believe it. I had no idea that it would go over like it did.
Oh, the old lunch counter's missing from the corner. It has vanished like the joys we used to know. Never marvel to hear that old familiar parting. One more drink, boys, just one more before you go. Boy, I can picture swinging doors wide open, and I can almost see the sawdust on the floor. And I dream of friends and cronies, drinking highballs, steins, and ponies. I can see the name of Murphy on the door.
Please don't tell my daddy no more wine, no more wine. Mama don't want him drinking all the time. Please don't tell my daddy no more wine, no more wine. He may be no good, but he's still mine. Late one night.
The Midnight Oilers, I heard, got invited to sing at Guantanamo Bay, and then that you did a USO tour. Is that correct?
No, in 1966, they asked us to sing in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, at the Naval and Marine bases. And after we sang there, the Department of Defense heard us sing. And the Department of Defense asked us if we would go to Vietnam in 67. So in 67, in February 67, we went to Vietnam for 3 weeks to entertain troops there. And we were all over Vietnam, during very dangerous areas. It was really shaky. We had air cover and machine guns all around us, guarding us everywhere we went. And one plane we were landing had bullets coming through the fuselage, and we took back off again. And the place we had breakfast 5 days in a row, the day we didn't have it, they blew up the place and killed a whole bunch of sailors. At the same time, we had 5 days in a row. They missed us that day. But the most exciting part was flying from Da Nang and landing on an aircraft carrier to Bennington, catching a cable. And we sang there for a day, entertaining troops. And then we helicoptered to the nuclear carrier, the Enterprise, and sang there for a day, entertaining. And the next day, then we flew to the Ticonderoga for a day. And then we got a catapult shot off the deck of the Ticonderoga. And almost all my parts left with me. I hate to let you know what I left back on the deck, but You could probably guess.
I probably could.
Oops.
That's terrific. So how did the General Westmoreland story come into this?
Well, the General Westmoreland, when we were leaving, he gave us the certificate of appreciation for the morale of the troops, and thanked us, and gave us the autographed copy of the defining words they put for thanking us, and his picture.
So you actually met him, right?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's the General Westmoreland is the man that ran the entire Vietnam conflict.
That's right.
Is that correct? That's
That's
awesome.
right. And the boardwalk now, who's singing nowadays, are the son of the Tom Hine, who's a member of our group. His son took over, and now they're singing, carrying on what the Midnight Oilers did. They're singing mostly our music. And every time I've gone to one of their shows, they call me up on stage to sing a couple of songs with them.
That's terrific. And then you sang in another quartet called Chicago Natural Gas that did the same sort of thing. You sang with Lynn Haldren in that
That's
quartet,
right,
correct?
yes. But we sang all over, including Ireland. We did a 5-day St. Patrick's Day festival in Killarney, Ireland, sponsored by Erlingus and Guinness. And I had a few pints of Guinness myself, and a few bit of Jamesons,
Cause I'm feeling blue, right all the way to the end of the line, thinking only of you, living wild in another city, just about to go insane. Thought I heard my baby, but the way she used to call my name, never come back to stay. Be another brand new day, walking with my baby on by the San Francisco Bay.
Patrick told me that the Midnight Oilers were so wildly successful and popular on these shows that a lot of the international champions that you sang with didn't want to follow you guys. Is that correct?
And nobody would follow us. Whoever the quartet was, they always came up to us. Even the Bluegrass Student Union, they just come up, Ray, we're not going to follow you now. You know that, don't you? When we sang in the Stevens Point, we had a real hot night, and we had a bunch of standing ovations toward the end of the show, and we kept bringing us back, and we kept coming back for maybe a couple encores, and leaving the stage. We walked down the aisle and met Glenn Van Tassel come in the other direction, and he said, "Thanks for leaving us something, asshole," he said. And I said, "Oh, you're welcome, you're welcome." And then he turned around, was looking at me, sneering at me as he went up on stage.
Who wants to follow a group that's that successful, correct?
That's right.
That entertaining. Midnight Oilers, and finally the Midnight Oilers broke up, and then you sang in a quartet called the Soundtracks.
The Soundtrack. I told the guys, I feel I want to compete. I would love to win a medal someday, and I would really like to compete and to see how I can do. And so I quit the quartet and joined the Soundtrack.
And who was in the Soundtracks, right?
Joe Coburn came from Detroit and was in it. Don Bagley, who eventually won a gold medal with the
Chiefs.
Chiefs of Staff.
Yeah.
And Joe Coburn and
Doug Miller.
Doug. It started off with
Wolf.
Danny
Steve
Wolf, yeah.
Right.
Danny Wolf, and he was with us up till we came in sixth place, and then Danny he had some trouble with his business. He was transferred out to Pennsylvania, and we got Doug Miller to take his place. Yes, we came in first time we were at International. We came in 15th. The Boston Common came in 16th, and Boston Common 14th, excuse me, and the Vagabonds came in 16th place.
So you came in 14, 15, 16.
16, right.
And the Boston Common obviously went on to win. And,
Right.
And the Vagabonds went on to come in second.
Right. And the next year, Boston Common came in 5th, and we came in 6th. And another time we were 1-2 with the Boston Common. And the Vagabonds came in, I think, 7th or 8th. And when we won the international with the Chicago News, they came in first and we came in second. So 3 times they beat us out.
You just never could beat them.
No, but we came right behind them. We snuggled up close.
That absolutely, that says a lot.
I'll tell you one more thing about Bob Whitledge. You know, I just realized that prophecy came true. You know, when I was young, I got a little careless and I had a little .22 rifle. And I was aiming target practice and I accidentally killed this mule about 2 pastures over from the farm where I was raised. And my mother warned me that someday that jackass would come back to haunt me. But I have to tell you about O'Toole's going to the doctor for a physical examination. And after the doctor checks him over, he says, Pat, for a man of 60 years old, you're in fantastic physical shape. He said, I say I was 60 years old. He said, I'm 84 years old, never been sick a day in my life. He's outstanding. He said, what about your father? Before he passed away, was he a healthy man? He said, I say my father passed away. My father's 104 years old, still works every day of the week. It's unbelievable. He said, what about your grandfather? Before he passed away, was he a healthy guy? He said, I say my grandfather passed away. My grandfather's 124 years old. In fact, he's getting married Wednesday. So why would a guy of 124 years old want to get married? He says, did I say he wanted to get married?
Overture, curtain lights, this is it, the night of nights. No more rehearsing and nursing apart, we know every part by heart. Overture, curtain lights, this is it, we'll hit the heights, and oh what heights we'll hit. On with the show, this is it.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you so much for attending the Afterglow for Chicago News, and we're going to sing some good old barbershop harmony for you. So sit back, relax, and we're going to entertain you in the Chicago News style.
Overture, curtain lights, this is it, we'll hit the heights, and oh what heights we'll hit, so on with the show tonight.
The soundtracks ran the gamut. You sang in 3 internationals, I think, correct?
Yes.
Came in 5th place. So then you joined a quartet called the Chicago News, which is where eventually you won your international quartet gold medal.
Correct.
So tell us about that.
That was very strange. Tom Felgen and I were trying to get together with the quartet, and Bob Zimney, an old-time barbershopper, he said he had a lead over in Michigan, southern Michigan, a heck of a lead, and he thought it'd be a good quartet with him singing instead of tenor like he usually sang. He was going to sing baritone, and I could sing tenor, Tom Felgen could sing bass, and Butch Koth could sing lead. So we got together one time, and it sounded pretty good. And all of a sudden, we were together about maybe a week or 2, is about all. And Zimney all of a sudden moved to Florida. I don't know why he moved so quickly, but he had a chance to open up something, a plant or something. So he quit the quartet. And as fate would have it, Greg Wright. He would moved into town, and then we talked to Greg Wright, and he heard Felgen and me, and he said, yeah, I'll give it a try. And we sang, and it sounded pretty darn good. And we sang in I think we got together in September or October, and we did one show in late October and one in the first part of November. Show, and then Butch said he doesn't want to sing. He quit actually, and he says we've had 2 bad winters here. This is 77, 78 in Chicago, 2 terrible winters, and around the south end of Lake Michigan, and he had to come all the way around to come into Illinois to rehearse, and he just didn't feel like he wanted to do that. So we broke up. We didn't do anything until we had a show in January with the Suntones in St. Louis. I don't know why they hired us, but I guess they heard about it. And when we went down and sang there, we compared very favorably to Suntones. I mean, we got tremendous reaction. And after it was over, Butch says, you know, I think maybe this might be too good to quit. So he said, let's go with it.
One town that won't let you down, Chicago, that's my hometown. Chicago, Chicago, that town, Chicago, Chicago, I'll show you around. I'll show you around. Bet your bottom dollar you lose the blues in Chicago, Chicago. Folks who visit all wanna settle down, all wanna settle down on State Street, that great street. I just wanna say they do things they don't do on Broadway. I'm here to say that you'll have the time of your life. Bring all your friends, your kids, and your wife to Chicago, Chicago, my hometown. Yes, sir, that's my...
So that was January. In April, we got in the regional preliminaries. We came in 25 points behind Grandma's Boys on the year they won the International.
Wow, and that was your first contest.
First contest. We scored in the 80s, you know, well into the 80s. The first contest, and all of a sudden it was there. And we no coaching, nothing, you know. And later on, a couple of times we met with Lyle Bilcher, but after a while we just automatically followed Butch.
So you sang in the regionals, you were 25 points behind Grandma's Boys, then you went to International that year, and how did you place?
We came in 8th.
8th place. 8th place your first year out, that's amazing.
Next year, of course, we came in 2nd to the Boston Common for the 3rd time, and we came in behind the Boston Common. And then we won in Detroit. It was we had a great time, we had a great run, and we sang all over, and never a harsh word amongst us. And we still love each other.
Lifelong friends,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Memories like the corners of my mind, misty watercolored memories of the way we were, the way we were. Scattered pictures of the smiles we left behind, smiles we gave to one another for the way we were, the way we were. Can it be that it was all so simple then, or has time rewritten every line? If we had a chance to do it all again, tell me, would we? Could we? Memories may be beautiful and yet what's too painful to remember, we simply choose to forget. So it's the laughter we will remember whenever we remember the way we were.
in addition to your medal with soundtracks and all of your medals with the Chicago News, you've also won with a couple of senior champs, correct?
Right.
So the first one was called, let me see if I got this right. The first one was the Old Kids on the Block.
That's correct.
You sang with Jim Foley, right?
Jim Foley and Tom Hine again.
I cannot imagine singing in a quartet with two shysters like you and Jim Foley in the same quartet. That had to be so much fun to be at that rehearsal.
Oh, we sang in 2 jams. Jim did.
He sang in the second one too, right?
No,
Well, hold on. The first one was Old Kids on the Block, and you sang, you went out seniors quartet champ. You won it in how many tries?
first try.
Your first try.
I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
correct. And then your second seniors quartet was called the New and Improved Industrial Strength Mini Chorus.
All right.
Is that correct?
That was with Buzz Hager and
That
Jim
was with
Foley.
Buzz, yep, and Jim, and then who was the, Bob Squires, there you go, absolutely.
Yep.
So you went and you competed how many times with that quartet before you won?
Once.
So you won your first time with that quartet,
Right.
astonishing. And then you sang with a quartet called the Chicago Shuffle.
Right.
That's terrific. And how many times did it take you to win that contest, Ray?
First.
Boy, you're really holding these people back, aren't you?
Right, yeah.
I'm gonna live till I die. I'm gonna laugh instead of cry. I'm gonna take this town and turn it upside down. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die. They're gonna say, hey, what a guy. I'm gonna play for the sky. Ain't gonna miss a thing. I'm gonna have my fling. I'm gonna live, live, live until I die.
But I had some great times with the 3 seniors quartets. During that time, I'd sing with those quartets. I filled in with the 4 Renegades.
I was gonna ask you about
Yeah.
that. So you sang, you did that for a couple of years with them, correct?
Almost 3 years, yeah.
You also filled in, I guess, a couple of times with the chiefs of staff when Tim McShane couldn't.
Yeah, he worked for the electric company. He couldn't get every Saturday off, so his first show I think was Winnipeg. We did a Friday and Saturday night show, and the next show was in Lima, Ohio. The next show was about 2 weeks later, and we were all dressed and ready to go. And one of the guys was reading the program. Don Bank was reading the program, and he says, "You ever learned that I May Be Gone for a Long, Long Time?" That song. And I says, "No, that wasn't one of the 16 songs you gave me to learn." "Why do you ask?" He says, "We're singing in the first half." He says, he read the program. I says, "You rat," you know. I'm just new with the quartet, and I got to sing a song today. But interesting enough, that song was on my tape recorder in the car. That song was in between 2 songs that I had to learn. So rather than turn it on and off, I left it on. So I heard it enough that I would shed it
You
to
just
sing
would
it.
shed it to
And I
sing.
got through all right, yeah.
That's awesome.
My dream is o'er, to live no more. Last night was the end of the world.
So Pat Henders, Ray's youngest son, correct?
Yep.
And you have an older brother, Bill, are both barbershoppers also. And Pat had the opportunity to sing. You had an opportunity to sing with your dad in a quartet called Voicemail. Is that correct?
Yep.
Guys almost won the district too, right?
Yeah, we're close. Second place.
Second
By
place.
a couple points.
That's terrific. That's awesome. What was it like singing with your dad, with the legendary Ray Henders?
Well, it was kind of, you know, we were always watching them as a kid, just watching your dad singing, and it's like, oh, this is so cool to watch him win an audience. But actually singing a quartet with him, where you can have a front row seat of that, where you can just kind of relax and let him take over the show, and also we were singing pretty good. We were a pretty good show quartet too, and it was just so fun just to see, like, people were like, oh, you know, these guys are pretty good, but then Dad would tell a joke, and then all of a sudden the audience, all of a sudden you sounded better because you were just, they liked you more. So it was so fun to be a part of that. Yeah, you always knew the audience. You could tell, like, you know, you could see if they're older people in the group will tell a little more seniors, citizen type jokes, or just like, you know, the dialect where they're younger people who may tell a little younger, a little more raunchy type of joke, whatever he can get away with. But he always could feel the audience. And he could probably judge pretty well by the first couple of jokes, how they're working. And it's like, okay, I need to change stuff up. But to me, there's not too many people that, you know, the Jim Henrys and, you know, some of those, you know, best frontmen in our society has ever had. And, you know, I put my dad, you know, on that top list.
Well, you're a lucky man. Your dad's a great guy.
Yeah, you know, the one thing I wanted to say too is, you know, one of the great things about, you know, learning, my dad always, he always made sure that once we knew that we wanted to be a part of it, that we were right center with him, with his, knowing everybody that was involved, you know, introducing us to all his buddies and being a part, just one of the guys. And that's like, you know, when anybody asked Chicago News to sing a song, or they said, hey, Mr. Henders, can we sing something with you? It's like, he'd be like, what's your hobby? And the guy said, well, I'm a barbershopper. He goes, well, I'm a barbershopper. Let's sing a song. I'm no better than you. You know, I'm just because I had this medal, just means I got lucky.
Well, and Pat is our current 2019 Illinois District Quartet
And
champion.
2020 COVID champion.
Our 2020 COVID champions, and then Patrick also had a district championship about 10 or 12 years ago, right?
Yeah, 2006. Oh, I'm sorry, 2009.
And what was the name of that?
Rush
quartet?
Street.
Rush Street. That's
Yeah.
right. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, thanks for the comments on your dad, and you're a lucky man. He's a great guy. Everybody in Illinois loves Ray, don't they?
Yeah, I do, and I appreciate you doing this.
No, you're welcome. I'm honored to do it. So this has been great fun. So I wanted to take a moment for the audience and introduce Ray's much better half, his lovely wife of, I believe, 56 years, correct?
Yes, right.
Mrs. Sharon Henders. Hi, Mrs. Henders.
Hello.
Oh, thanks for coming down and joining us today, and thanks for allowing us to come to your home and do this.
Well, thank you.
So Ray Henders is not the only one in the family that has some barbershop hardware. As I understand it, Mrs. Henders has some of those shiny gold medals too. Why don't you tell us about that?
I was in Sweet Adelines for 35 years, and the last 10, 15 years of it, I was in Melodeer's chorus, and I was their costume designer, which was interesting for 150 women.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big job with a chorus like the Melodiers.
And we won our first international in 1994 in Reno, Nevada. And then we won the next one, I think was in Baltimore 3 years later. And then there was another one in Florida, but by that time I had retired.
So you won 2 gold medals with the Melodiers.
Yeah.
That's
It
terrific.
was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I'll bet it was. I'll bet it's been a lot of fun being married to Ray Henders. Is he the yeah, sometimes.
It's always been interesting. It's never boring.
Is he as funny at home as he is on stage?
Not always.
No. So Mrs. Henders, tell us a little bit about your family. You and Ray have been married for 56 years, and
Right.
you have a bunch of kids and grandkids between you, is that correct?
Right. We have 5, actually 6 between us.
Right.
5 children between the two of you.
Yeah. I had 2 children from a previous marriage, and Ray has 1. But from his previous marriage is not mine.
Okay.
I'm claiming him. But we had 5 boys and 1 girl.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
We have 9.
9 grandchildren,
Yeah.
and 3 of them were here today.
Yes, they were. Yes, they
So,
were.
well, let me tell you, we're really proud of your husband, and
I'm proud of him too. He's been. I shouldn't be proud of you.
no, absolutely, Ray is an absolute gift to the Illinois district, and we appreciate all you do to support him, and we appreciate you letting us come to your house and do this today, and thank you for allowing us to borrow your husband for a couple of hours.
Sure.
And we hope
You can have him all day if you want.
we're going out drinking after this is over. So one of the things that I love, my favorite thing about Ray Henders, is your ability to make an audience laugh. Where did you learn this, Ray?
I program them.
Oh, is that what you do?
That's what I program for.
So one of the things, you won the Dave LeBar Master of Ceremonies MC Award in 2017. I believe Bob Cornell, who is another tremendous MC, nominated you for this, and you won that award. So that's something you have to be very proud of.
Yes, I am. I think I'm the 8th recipient of it. So there's been a lot of great guys that won it before me, so I'm honored to be named, you know, along with them. But I've emceed a few internationals. I think 3 and a couple of midwinters, you know. But back then there was 10, 12,000 people in the audience, you know, when I emceed. Not as many now, but I just have fun. I never got nervous in emceeing at all. I feel as cool as a cucumber. Singing sometimes I'm really, you know, aiming my voice, make sure I'm in the high side of the note or in my vowels and everything else. So I'm a little more nervous singing to make sure, but when I'm up in front of a mic telling stories, I love it. The Lord put me on earth to make people smile. That's what I believe. So I do that everywhere I go.
So anyway, this little lad was pulling a wagon by the church, you see, one particular Saturday afternoon. And when he was pulling the wagon by the church, the right front wheel of his wagon hits a crack in the sidewalk, rolls a little way down the sidewalk and down into the gutter. The kid looks down and says, well, I'll be damned. A clergyman over there heard him. Said, is that any kind of language for a young man like you to be using? When adversity happens, it would be better if you would say something like, praise the Lord. So I will from now on. 2 weeks later, walking by the same church, pulling the same wagon, the wheel hit the same crack in the sidewalk, came off, rolled a while down the sidewalk, off into the gutter. Lad looks down, sees the clergyman over there, says, praise the Lord. With that, the wheel jumps back up in the curve, rolls over, boom, hops right back in the wagon. The clergyman looks over and said, I'll be damned.
I really appreciate you sitting down with us today. I appreciate your sharing your story. I think the entire society is going to be interested in hearing this. The Illinois district loves you. I love you, Ray. You're a tremendous man. You've left quite the legacy here in Illinois, and we really, really do appreciate you.
Yeah, one thing I always thought that if there's ever a Joe Barbershop award, that's for somebody with no talent that's achieved in the society. That's what I would. If I die, I like to have named Ray Henders Joe Barbershop because I absolutely had no other talents at all. Because I look at the talent of some of the young men that can sing all 4 parts and everything, and coaches and arrangers, and that's not me. But I'm glad I achieved it with my skill level.
Absolutely. Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's terrific. Well, brother, thank you very much. It was great seeing you. Thank you. Thank you, Ray.
Hey, this is Al Mazzoni from the Mid-Atlantic District, and I got to tell you, this is a real honor to pay tribute to Ray, but I've got to ask you, who is Ray? And what has he ever done? Actually, Ray Henders is one heck of a guy. He is probably one of the greatest barbershoppers I could think of. Very approachable, down to earth, a lot of fun, got 1,000,001 jokes. And if you're at the next international and I see you standing there in the lobby of the headquarters hotel, you and I are going to sing one, baby. So anyway, get ready and congratulations. Take care.
Hey there, it's Dan Burgess with the Bluegrass Student Union. Because our quartet grew up in the Barbershop Society, we certainly knew all about Ray Henders from those legendary quartets that he had sung with back in the day. But our quartet really got to know Ray the best when he was singing both with the soundtracks as well as then Chicago News. And we had a chance to actually do some shows with those guys back in those years. And I do remember one time we were on a show with them, and our dressing rooms were adjacent to each other. But the walls between them didn't go all the way to the ceiling. They were kind of 3/4 walls, and there was some open space up above. And our quartet's over on our side of the dressing room wall getting ready, and we hear this tremendous crash over across the wall and went over there. And as it turns out, Ray had been climbing up onto the counter of that dressing room to peer over the wall into our side. And who knows what kind of mayhem he had planned or in mind to inflict upon us over there before the entire counter collapsed on their side of the wall. It was truly hilarious, and I was just kind of flattered that we might have been the recipient of some prank or another from the great Ray Henders. I thought that was really a pretty remarkable thing in and of itself. He's just such a funny guy. Ray loves, I think, the reaction. He just loves to make people laugh, whether it's a little bit off color or perfectly GP. Ray always gets a laugh, and he's just a funny guy. In addition to that, what has been really impressive to me throughout these years is that he is still today a great singer. Really before COVID, at any rate, up at Sage Lake, I was able to, fortunate enough to be able to sing with Ray or hear Ray continue to sing. And really, even with the passing years, Ray still has a great voice. But even just being a great singer, being a really funny guy, I think the most important thing to me about Ray Henders is that he is just a great friend. This is a guy who truly cares about his friends. You can tell it in the way he really, comes down to it. When you really, at the end of the day, you can tell with it, his heart is just huge. He may have this crusty and irreverent demeanor, but Ray just loves people, and he really shows it. So for those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to call Ray Henders our friend, we are truly fortunate indeed. Ray, it's just great. It's an opportunity to be able to say hello and to let folks know just what a wonderful guy you truly are. Thanks for the $20 you sent me in the mail the other day to say that, but it is great, Ray, and I'm glad they're doing this tribute for you as well. Love you, man.
Toasting Ray Henders. When you first meet Ray, you are immediately impressed. Never had I met a tenor so full of talent. I mean, his quartet, Chicago News, wow. Ray is an inspiration to us all, a really big one. Whenever he's around, he's always trying to make us smile and laugh. When Ray found out my last name was Odell, he immediately launched into telling limericks for 2 whole hours. It was a hit, truly. So I thought I'd dedicate one of my own to Ray so he knows how we all really feel about him and his legacy of limericks. There once was a man by the name of Ray, always could be found just above the fray. Is he forever king of the Henders, or just a man who gums chicken tenders? Whatever he may be, it's surely plain to see we can't return to sender. There's so much to say about this gem of a man, but I'll leave you with this tidbit of joy. When I think of Ray, I think there will never be another person as awesome as funny as friendly as Ray Henders. Ray, we love you. Ray Henders. When you first meet Ray, you are immediately Never had I met a tenor so full of I mean, his quartet, Chicago News, Ray is to us all, a really big Whenever he's around, he's always trying to make us and When Ray found out my last name was Odell, he immediately launched into telling limericks for 2 hours. It was a hit, truly. So I thought I'd dedicate one of my own to Ray so he knows how we all really feel about him and his limericks. There once was a man by the name of Ray, always could be found just above the fray. Is he forever king of the Henders, or just a man who gums chicken tenders? Whatever he may be, it's surely plain to see return to sender. There's so much to say about this of a man, but I'll leave you with this tidbit of When I think of Ray, I think Ray Henders. Ray, you.
Hi, Roy. I was delighted to be invited to say a few words here at the celebration of your 98th birthday.
Yeah.
And what?
93rd.
93. Oh, he looks 98. Well, anyway, Roy, you and I go way back, and I've enjoyed our friendship over the years, and it's been a real fun ride, singing and laughing and partying with you and your lovely, tolerant wife, Shirley.
Not Shirley, Sharon.
Sharon. Oh, Sharon. Oh, sorry on that. We've been friends a long time. Anyway, I've enjoyed knowing you and all the other Henriksons over the years. Not Henry. The Henders. Okay, Henders over the years. And, oh yeah, Henders. Well, I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday and many, many, many more. I'll be looking forward to being at your 100th birthday in 2 more years. 7 years. Okay. Roy, happy birthday. What? Ray. I'm sorry, Ray. Ray, happy birthday. And that comes to you lovingly from Leona and Dean, or Daryl, Kingdon, whatever you wish.
Ray is one of my biggest barbershop heroes, and not just for the obvious reasons, him being one of the greatest tenors in the society and one of the greatest champions in the society, but for more special reasons than that. I can remember when the Harrington brothers first got involved in barbershop, and we had the great fortune of being able to sing several chapter shows with Chicago News back in the early 80s. And Ray and the Chicago News kind of looked after us on these weekends when we were together. Our poor mother, it was all she could do to keep up with the 4 of us, but they always kind of helped out and acted as 4 other dads to us. We had such great times with them, and they were such great mentors to us. But even further to that, Ray and his family looked after us and let us stay at their house on numerous occasions when we were in the Chicago area. So not only does he mean a lot to us just in terms of his talents and what he's done in performance over the years and his gold medal status, but also just the human being that he is and how he's always cared for us, and we have always appreciated that so much. So anyway, here's to Ray Henders, one of the great champions, one of the great human beings of barbershop. And, oh, by the way, Ray, we have reason to believe you are trying to escape. Love you, Ray.
Hello, Ray Henders. This is David and Sandy Wright here. We understand that there's a special occasion here where you're being honored, and all we can say is it's about time, because you're one of the icons of barbershopping as far as we're concerned. I have so many memories of you and lots of aspects of your barbershopping, but one that I'll mention is when Chicago News won international in the tag of, I think it was Gang that sang Heart of My Heart with the Heart of My Heart echo. Wow. I think that's still banging around in the rafters of that place. But what a great singer and what a great personality in barbershop. Sandy, you want to say a few words?
Absolutely. Ray and I go way back to my old tetrachord days, and we did lots of shows together. And Ray, I have to say, after all these years, everybody in barbershop knows all the punchlines to all of your jokes. However, no one can tell them like you can. And no matter whether I know it by heart, I can practically speak it right along with you, but I still laugh my butt off every time I hear it, because nobody can do that Irish accent or any of those stupid jokes like you can.
Yeah. What do you mean coming home at 3 a.m. half drunk? They closed the bar. Yeah, I love things like that. And I have to tell you, I've tried with no success at all to tell the hiss in the pit joke a few times.
That's true. Don't
But
ask.
that's dangerous. That's dangerous. I never succeed. So that's just amazing. So we both have great fond memories of you in so many respects. I hope you have a great event, and
You're the best.
we love
the
you,
best,
man.
Ray.
We love you, man. Take care.
Hope to see you in person and give you a
Yeah.
big hug.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, everybody. It's George Davidson with the Classic Collection. When I think of Ray Henders, I think of a guy who's kind and gentle and always wanted to get a smile on everybody else's face. And he sure did. A lot of people. I mean, he's been a good friend for many, many years, and I just love the way that he tries to make the world a better place. We're fortunate enough to have the Classic Collection and Chicago News do a couple of shows together, and I still recall many times in the bedroom after Everglow, the two quartets are back at the hotel, having a beer, and Ray would just get on a roll, obviously sparked on by his buddy Greg Wright, and he would just tell one joke after the other, and we'd just be rolling in the aisles, as they say. So my tribute to him is just, he's had a great life. I love him, and I hope it continues on for many, many years. Hugs, buddy.
Hi, everybody. Greg Wright here, baritone of the Chicago News Quartet. Sang with Ray Henders for many years. And I guess he's having a big celebration because he's turning 93, or they're having a special function for him. And I get a call from Ray Palmatier who says, hey, we're throwing this bash and we'd like to get some stories on Ray that might be obscure, or a little bit funny or whatever. So I says, I got one. So we're doing a show in Pennsylvania somewhere, I forget, and we had a pilot, his name is Lenny Lipholt, who used to fly us around in a plane that was partly owned by Buzz Hager, and Lenny was a partner, I think. Anyway, he used to fly us all over the place, from Iowa to Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, etc. So we're doing the show, we're doing the Afterglow, and of course Ray, he always likes to party hardy after the Afterglow, so he'd always take a six-pack back to the hotel room or whatever, and we'd set up most of the night singing tags with hospitality people, whatever, from the chapter, and drinking beers and whatever. So we get up the next morning and we're getting the plane, we're flying back, and we're about 8,000 feet or whatever. And all of a sudden, there comes a wafting odor from the front seat where Ray was sitting. He lets fly with an SBD, if you know what that acronym stands for. And we're at 8,000 feet. No windows could be open. We're dying. We're gasping for breath. He scorched my lungs. And there's nothing we could do about it. You got to imagine this. It's kind of like that Seinfeld episode where Kramer's taking that older couple on a handsome carriage ride, and he'd been feeding that horse beefarino. I don't know what Ray was eating, but holy cow, it was unbelievable. When I got home and landed, my wife wouldn't let me sleep in the same bedroom for 2 weeks. It was unbelievable. So Lenny told me later, the pilot, that there was so much methane in that cabin that the plane didn't need to be refueled for a month. Anyway, that's one for the annals. I mean, did I say annals? I mean annals. Sorry about that. Happy birthday, Ray.
Hey Ray, Jeff Solano from Riptide and Stormfront. Just wanted to say congratulations, and fun story about you was years ago, I think it was 98 or 99, we were up at Sage Lake and got a chance to be in a limerick contest with you, which of course meant there was no contest. And sing a bunch of tags, which was awesome, and you've been a hero of mine for a long time, so getting to sing with you was incredible. And you know, you kind of think, well, maybe you get a song we're at tag, and I think 2 hours later, we were still singing tags. I mean, you're just a barbershopper's barbershopper, and I'm proud to call you a friend, and miss you and look forward to seeing you soon. Love you, buddy. Bye.
Raymond, I've had the pleasure of your friendship for just over 50 years now. That's almost one half your life. God, you're old. We're here to honor you today for your contributions to Barbershop, and in particular, the Illinois District. As a quartet gold medalist, a chorus singer, an MC, and most of all, as a terrific entertainer. You helped cultivate an entire generation of barbershop singers. I just had occasion to watch one of your old videos of you in action from back in the 1960s. And I'm telling you, you have not changed at all. The same look, the same smile, the same timing, the same jokes. You never stopped a show, Ray, but you sure slowed a few of them down. Thank you for sharing your considerable talent and gift. I'm glad to call you friend. I love you, man.
Hello, Illinois District. It's Rick Taylor. I hope you all are doing well. And I was just asked to say a couple of kind words about our friend Ray Henders. Well, and since I couldn't think of any kind words, I thought I would say this. Ray, we do honor you. You are a master tenor singer, master joke teller, master MC, and a master human being. We love you very much. And for those of you who maybe question Ray's ability to be an MC, I tried walking a mile in his shoes. I witnessed him emceeing an international convention one year, and he basically just owned the room. And as a quartet frontman and MC myself for many, many years, I could see how easy he made it look. And it made me think about it differently the next time I did it, that's for sure. Ray, all the best to you, my friend. Illinois District, thank you for honoring this fine gent, and all the best to all. See you soon. Thanks.
Hey, Ray. It's your friend Jim Henry from St. Louis, and I would love to share my memory of the first time that I met Ray Henders. I remember it very well, although you will not remember it at all, I'm sure. I remember it because my brother and I were at our very first international competition in 1984. The reason we were there is because it was held in St. Louis, our hometown that year. So we went to go see the contest, our first ever. And we parked the car and we were walking toward the convention hotel when a car pulled up, and the man inside the car yelled out at us and said, "Hey, can you tell me where the convention center is?" This was basically right in the middle of the street. And so we said, "Oh, sure, it was there." And we knew exactly who we were talking to, Ray Henders, the tenor of Chicago News. And we tried to be as cool as we possibly could, but after you drove away, we geeked out so much. We talked about it for a long time. Oh my gosh, that was Ray Henders asking us for directions. So that was the very first time I met you, and I'm glad that I remember the day because it really made an impact on me. You were a hero to me, and here he was, my hero, asking me how to get someplace. Little did either one of us, my brother or me, know that within 10 years or so, we would really get to know you much better as members of the AIC, and to hear your jokes and your stories, and just to see the joy you have of life and how much you just love your fellow man, and how kind you were to both of us as we were coming up in Barbershop and coming up through the competition. I just have many, many memories of appreciating the many wonderful things you said to us, and also of laughing almost constantly whenever you were in the room. So I just love you, Ray, and I just want to wish you all the very, very best. No one deserves a tribute like this, like you. And so congratulations, and here's to the next time we get to see each other, my friend. Take care, and God bless.
Well, hi, everybody. This is Jim Klein from the 139th Street Quartet and Gotcha Quartet. And I understand that we are celebrating a dear old friend of mine, Ray Henders, for a lifetime of achievement in barbershop quartet singing. And boy, oh boy, it's not as though he hasn't had enough celebration in his life with all of the winning that he's done. My goodness. A gold medal with the Chicago News, and then 3 gold medals with the seniors quartets. My goodness. My only request, Ray, is that maybe you could win one of these championships without singing I Want a Girl Just Like the Girl That Married Dear Old Dad, because I've told you before, I think it was the Old Kids on the Block, I said, you won that contest based on that note, and I've seen you do it over and over again. You're an incredible voice, but I just have one small request from you, and that is, I know you do a lot of emceeing. Could you please learn maybe an Italian joke once? We get tired of all that Irish stuff. Anyway, from a fellow Irishman, we appreciate you and loved you through the years. Hopefully we've got many, many more to celebrate. Enjoy. Bye.
I'm indeed honored to be asked to say a few words about Ray Henders. I have to say this is probably the first time that I can ever talk about Ray without being interrupted by Ray. Those of you who know him will understand. I have to say, back in the day when I started singing Barbershop, when the Chicago News appeared on the scene, everyone was always excited about the Boston Common, and rightfully so. They're one of the greatest champs of all time. I myself was a huge, and still a huge, Boston Common fan. When they won in 1980, I was completely blown away. But I was also super impressed and excited about the quartet that finished second behind them, called the Chicago News. And at the time when I listened to the recording back after the contest, I was like, those guys are going to win it next year. There's no doubt in my mind. They were so clean and exciting. And the one thing I really liked about them was their tenor. Being a tenor singer myself, I was always impressed with Ray's full voice tenor sound, which is something that I've always tried to imitate from great tenors like him and Gene Cockcroft and Kent Martin and Vern Reed and all of those guys. And so hearing him sing, I would always try to sing along with the recordings and sing like those guys. Don't think I ever quite made it to be that good, but I have to say I was really impressed with them. And when I finally got to meet Ray, I was about 18 years old, I think, and I was at there's a fall get-together in Michigan that we go to, and he was there, and it was really the first time I'd ever met him. And I was 18 years old, and at the time, I was going through a breakup with one of my first girlfriends ever, and I was heartbroken, and I was, put on my headphones, and back in the day, that's when we had cassette tapes. So I was listening to cassette tapes and listening to songs and sitting and woe is me and sitting by the lake and just kind of, caught up in that moment of feeling bad. And Ray came walking by, and I had met him briefly earlier in the day, and I was kind of starstruck, and I didn't know what to say to him. And he came up to me and he said, "You look like you're a little down. What's going on?" So I told him, I said, "Look, I'm having girlfriend problems. We're breaking up. It's very difficult. I'm in a hard time right now. And, it's very hard on me." And he took that moment and looked me straight in the eye and said, "Well, you know what I always say. Love is a very, very special thing to be shared by 3 people." That clued me in on that's how Ray is. There's no serious one-on-one mentoring conversation ever going to happen in this relationship. And that's okay, because he is face value and he is what he is, and there's never anyone like him, and there's never a reason to be anyone like him, because he's Ray and he's fantastic and we love him, and congratulations for celebrating him. He's a very special guy, and we all love him, and I'm honored to be allowed to speak a little about him. Thanks.
Hey everybody, John Miller with Grandma's Boys and the New Tradition bass. Also did some things with the Society Board at one point, but that's not important for today because today is a tribute to Ray Henders. Well overdue, I might add, because Ray has been a consummate barbershopper, specifically in the Illinois district, for years. I got my start with Ray probably close to when I joined the society and when Grandma's Boys formed in 1968. This picture up here is that's us winning the Illinois district in 68. And about that time, I would be going to shows and watching Ray sing with the Midnight Oilers. Had a bass, a guitar, and Ray's jokes and sterling tenor voice. It was always great to see them because he's a consummate performer. I think he performs when he wakes up in the morning. Later on a little bit, we competed against Soundtracks, also a great quartet, medalist quartet, and again, Ray, terrific voice, and did a number of shows together. Then Grandma's Boys finally won in '79, and only 2 years after that, Chicago News had their big victory. Now, for Ray, he had been a barbershopper for a long time, but, you know, culmination, being a champ and a well-deserved champ. And again, terrific voice and those jokes. And the one thing I can remember about Ray is the tenor voice, of course, singing slightly louder than any other member of the quartet. And then, of course, the jokes. He had a million jokes. Oftentimes Irish-based, but not exclusively to that. I would say it was close to 1 million jokes, every one funny, most of them clean. So Ray, congratulations on this tribute, well-deserved. Many more years contributing your barbershop expertise to the society, and everybody else will listen, and everybody else who will listen to your jokes, because they are great.
Hi there, Ray. This is Shane Scott. My first official quartet was formed when I lived up in the Illinois district. And not long after I moved to Illinois, I listened to my first recording of the Chicago News and fell in love with your clarion tenor voice, which I know is still crystal clear. And over the years, I got to learn not only what a great singer you are, but also what a great mic guy you are, and what a great MC you are. And most of all, just how much you love barbershop. You've been a great inspiration to me and to many others, and I'm so excited that the Illinois District is going to recognize your wonderful contributions to this great hobby. I wish you and all your family the very best.
Hello, Ray. Pookie here. Hope you're doing well. I'm so happy to be part of this wonderful tribute, and a very fitting tribute for a man that's done so much, not only for the Illinois District, but also the entire society and across the globe, Ray. You've done so many shows and so many wonderful things. You've brought joy to everywhere you've gone, and you've touched many lives along the way, and I'm no exception to that. We've been friends for quite some time. But my message today is slightly different than perhaps what you're hearing on some of these nice videos. You see, I'm trying to get my money back, okay? And I hate it to go to this length, to go to this public forum to ask for it, but listen, you won't answer my calls. I send you emails, you don't respond. I write you letters. You don't respond to anything, Ray, and I know you've got the wherewithal. Don't tell me you're too old, because I hear you making these jokes that are just these corny jokes time and time again, so you've still got it, okay? You've still got it. I just need to get what's mine, and that's really the reason I'm here today. And, you know, I understand if you don't have the money in the bank, Ray. I'm not going to talk about the money, the amount. It's a large amount, but, you know, and you might not have it in the bank. I know your sons probably blew through all of that years ago, but there's other ways to get the money, Ray. You know, you might have to hawk some things, like your gold medals. You've got quite a few gold medals. You've got one that you won back in the day with the society, and you've got 5 or so of those senior gold medals, and I quite frankly don't think they're worth nearly as much, just because at that point it's more sympathy. You know, you've got a bunch of older guys singing, and the best older guys that day, they just kind of give them the gold medal. I just don't think it's worth much. But you go back to the big gold medal, and I think that's worth a lot, as well as the ring. You might have to hawk the ring too. And so this is a way to get right with me. And I want to, you know, I know these people are saying lots of wonderful things about you. I plan to do the same thing, Ray. I'll make another video, but I'll do it after I get my money, okay? So we love you, but let's make it right.
Hey everyone, I'm Clay Hine. Sang with lots of quartets. You might remember Fred. You might not remember Atlanta Forum, but they are both quartets I've sung with.
And I'm Brad Hine. I've sung with a few quartets also. You might remember a quartet called Boardwalk.
Because they're still going, unlike Fred. We're happy to be here today to talk about our good friend Ray Henders, and happy to be a part of this tribute for Ray. A lot of you met Ray through Barbershop. We also met Ray through Barbershop. The difference between that and some of you, though, is I remember Ray as long as I remember my parents. From being a little kid, from my earliest memories, Brad and I are both lucky to have those memories be wrapped up around Barbershop. When I was born, my dad was singing with a Barbershop quartet and real active. My mom was also real active in Barbershop. And my dad was singing with Ray in a quartet called the Midnight Oilers. And my earliest memories, which are involved, wrapped up around my parents, and fortunately Barbershop, are of just wonderful times in Barbershop and in parties in our basement. There's a picture of me as a little kid, and maybe I'm just making this memory up, but I was like 2, and I'm standing there with the Midnight Oilers, with Ray making a silly face, and my dad, and Phil Schwartz and Rick Wilson and the Midnight Oilers. And Ray's just always been, you all know Ray. Ray's a funny guy. Ray's a genuine guy. Ray's a great friend. Ray's like that on stage. Ray's like that when you're a friend hanging out with him, having dinner, when you're talking. He's like that when you were a 2-year-old kid. Ray is great and awesome because Ray is Ray, and that's just the kind of person he is all the time. Those are my earliest memories of Ray. And again, I've known him since then, and it's just been wonderful to have Ray in my life.
Yeah, you guys might remember Ray from quartets like the Soundtracks, where he was a medalist, and of course the Chicago News. And he sang with my father in a quartet called Old Kids on the Block. That was his first seniors gold medal, the first of 3. But like Clay was saying about the Midnight Oilers, the things that impacted us the most were, I can remember being about 8 or 9 and my dad coming home with a cassette tape and saying, hey, I just got this recording from a guy down the street who we sang on a show for 10 years ago, so you should give it a listen. And I popped it in. I didn't know who the Midnight Oilers were. I wasn't born when the Midnight Oilers were around, but I remember just hearing the coolest sounds and amazing acoustic instruments with 4-part barbershop harmonies, singing folk music, and these guys just destroying audiences, getting standing ovations, and hearing stories about how they traveled all over the world. They went out to Vietnam during the war. They were in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. And I remember my mother telling me about how often they were gone, which when I and my buddies started Boardwalk and started being gone every 2-3 weeks doing shows, basically doing half of our show would be Midnight Oilers material. It was just a blast for me to meet with folks and that remembered the Midnight Oilers, and my dad and Ray and Rick and Phil, and telling me stories from 50 years earlier when they had seen the Midnight Oilers. So for me, what Ray did for the Midnight Oilers and how he impacted me was not just the music also, even though it was amazing, but the way Ray would be able to tell these hilarious stories and interesting stories and great jokes and absolutely own the MC spot for the quartet for both of us. And Fred did a lot of Midnight Oilers material too. I mean, it's really meant the ability to travel all over and meet people. And Ray, we can't thank you enough with all of the vision and creativity you put into that quartet and impacted us in all the hundreds of shows that we've been able to be on because of that great material and vision.
Yep. And if you ever saw the Midnight Oilers, I mean, Brad mentioned hearing a tape of them. I remember seeing them when I was a kid, and one of the highlights of that I recall from being a kid was going to see shows with the Midnight Oilers on it. I would love to go see shows with the Midnight Oilers on it. And when we found this cassette tape that Brad was talking about, we got to listen to them again, and it's just fun. I mean, one of the great things about Barbershop, I won't say that we lose it, but sometimes it gets lost in all of the other things that go into Barbershop. It's just having fun singing. The Midnight Oilers had fun with what they did. Fred didn't do a lot that the Midnight Oilers did. We took a couple of their songs that was fun, We didn't have instruments like Boardwalk does. We took a little different route, but the thing that we tried to capture, that the Midnight Oilers captured so well, was just having fun on stage, having fun singing, having fun performing, having fun for people, and having fun with the people you're singing with. There's a few years ago, I judged a contest up in the Illinois district, and Ray happened to be the MC, which was great. It was great seeing. It's always great seeing Ray and Sharon and Billy and Patrick and Ramey and all the kids and catching up with them. But it's always great seeing Ray in that environment. Again, Ray is always Ray. So when he's up there emceeing, I was looking forward to being entertained by Ray. And as I expected, Ray tells the same dumb, corny jokes that I remember him telling when I was a kid, when I saw him with Chicago News, when I saw him with Old Kids on the Block. They're the same dumb, stupid, corny jokes, except that they're still just as funny or maybe funnier. And they're certainly not funny because they're great jokes. They're funny because Ray is a funny guy. Ray's a goofy guy. Ray is a genuine guy. Ray is a friendly guy. Ray is just a wonderful person. He's a wonderful person to entertain. He's a wonderful person to talk to, and he's a wonderful person to call a friend. One of the things Ray has said, and I don't know if Ray, if you'll remember this, you probably will. Every time I see you and we get to catch up and talk a bit, you always end up by giving me a big hug and saying, Clay, I love you like a son. And Ray, I'm not sure if we've ever shared this, but you know how close Brad and I were to our dad. And we want you to know, Ray, we love you like a dad.
We love you, Ray. Thanks
Love
for
you.
everything you've done, buddy.